we're here out in the woods. It's March 18th, 2026. So even though it's March, we still have some snow on the ground. So Braylee isn't with us today because we just cut her hair and I think it would be too cold for her right now. So yeah, we can see some things coming up for the spring. Either things that are newly emerging or things that are left over from last summer that have been kind of dormant over the winter. Now they're starting to emerge again. So an example is this fungus right here. This is the jelly ear fungus. And the cool thing about these is that they have an ability to preserve themselves by drying out when there's dry conditions. And then when they get moist, they're able to easily rehydrate and continue reproducing. So every time they dry out, they need moisture to perform their function. So this fungus doesn't have to regrow a whole new fruiting body every time that they want to reproduce, but the other one dries out. So we can see this is either some new growth for the spring, but more likely what this is something left over from last summer that got frozen over winter. And now as the snow is melting, it's rehydrating. And so it's nice and plump and jelly-like and is ready to perform its function, as opposed to this other one right here that's nearby, which is not rehydrated yet. So this is what it looks like when it's dry, but it still can be functional if it moistens, and it will look like this.
As spring starts, here we see some wood decomposition in real time. So you can see that this is a piece of decayed wood, and those white strings are fungal hyphae. When you look at mushrooms, that's actually just a fruiting body. This white strings that you see is where the real magic happens when it comes to fungus. So you can see up in the left side, there's some decayed wood. This is a type of rot, which I believe is white rot. Even though it's brown in color, it might have gotten a little bit dirty, but white rot has that specific splintery, spongy feeling, whereas a brown rot would be brown in color, but it would be more crumbly and cubic shaped. So I believe that this is actually a white rot, which is caused by digestion by fungi using digestive enzymes. And these digestive enzymes that the fungus use digest both cellulose and lignin. So cellulose is a structural component that, the fungus gets nutrients from, and it also decays the wood so that it doesn't have much of a structure anymore. And then lignin is a pigment that gives it a brown color, which is why it will be white rot. So normally it will be white, but I think this one got a little bit dirty. And the enzymes that the fungus use are activated by water, and the water is provided by this melting snow here in the spring. And then there's these little round pellets, which I believe are some feces of some small animal. I don't know which kind, but the fungus is also able to incorporate itself into that and find any types of undigested plant material that it can also harvest nutrients from. So this is a really good example of seeing wood decay in real action. You can see the fungus that's actually causing the decay itself. You can see the result of the decay, which is the white rot. And you can see what's activating the fungal metabolism and allowing the fungus to produce its functions, which is the melting snow provides water for the fungus. And you can see also another food source that fungus use other than, living plants is all they also feed on animal feces, which has some stuff which maybe the animal can't digest, but the fungus can. So this is a really cool find. One thing that's not pictured here is right next to this on the stump, there was a stump puffball mushroom fruiting body, which is known to cause white rot. So that might be the culprit of what this fungus is, or it could be a number of other things that are living on this log. We can't really tell by just looking at the hyphae. But yeah, this is what the real body of fungus is. Over here, camouflaged amongst these dead leaves is a really cool thing. We see some of the first insects starting to emerge out after the winter, which I'm really excited for. I haven't seen them for a while. So this is a very specific spring moth called the common oak moth. And we really don't see these any other time other than spring. In the early spring, like right now, they emerge out of their pupas as adults, and they only live for a couple days. In this clip over here, I'm showing that there's really no mouth parts on the adult moth. They're very small and underdeveloped, so they don't eat anything when they're adults. They just live for a couple of days, and their whole purpose is to mate and lay eggs. And so they lay eggs, during the spring, right after they emerge. And the eggs hatch into caterpillars, which feed on oak leaves, which is why they're called the common oak moth. And very shortly after that, before the spring is even finished, the larvae pupate, and they'll stay in that pupa for all the entire rest of the year. We won't even see them, and then they'll emerge in the spring. So they only have one generation each year, and this is really the only time of year that you'll ever see these common oak moths. So I feel very fortunate to have found this one in its very rare appearance in the outside world. Over here we got some true new growth. Everything I've shown so far is, something that's dried up and rehydrated from last year, or it's something that, the fungal hyphae that lives there all year round, but now it's starting to wake up and metabolize more, or something that's been pupated all winter long, but it's just emerged. But this is true new growth. These are some fruiting bodies of some Mycena mushroom, which is another common name for that is a bonnet mushroom. Probably the common bonnet is what it is. And these probably just started growing as the snow is melting, providing moisture and nutrients for the fungal hyphae that live within the wood to produce fruiting bodies. So these mushrooms have, whitish caps that are more brown towards the center. And on the bottom, they have these white gills that attach to the stem. So that's how you know a common bonnet, or that they're bonnet mushrooms. And yeah, around this time of year, we're out here looking for morels and everything. Obviously, I didn't find any. I hardly ever do. But when it comes to mushroom finding, you'll never turn up empty-handed. There's always going to be something. Mycena is one of those mushrooms that is kind of always there. It's one of the first ones to appear in the spring, as you can see, and it lasts all the way to the end of fall. So if you're disappointed about the mushrooms you found, you can always rely on Mycena to be there for you. So yeah, these are just some things that are popping up for early spring. It's not a very long video because things are still waking up, but I found some really cool things this time around. They really demonstrate the slow awakening as the temperatures rise and the snow starts to melt and everything's kind of coming out of their dormancy or out of their hibernation. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.